All right. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful ideas I've ever come across for taking back control of your life. We're talking about how you can literally transform the meaning of everything that happens to you, and by doing that, completely change the results you get. So let me ask you something. When you really think about it, what shapes your life? What defines your story? Is it the stuff that happens to you? You know, the wins, the losses, the total surprises? Or is it something else? Okay, so think of it like this. On one side, you've got all the events, the external stuff that's pretty much out of your hands. But on the other side, you have your response. And that is always 100% your choice. This little difference, it's not little at all. It's everything. Now, for most people, the thinking goes something like this. A bad event happens, and bam, you get a bad outcome. It's just simple math, right? A recession hits, so of course the business suffers. You get turned down for a promotion, so naturally you feel like a failure. It feels like this direct, unavoidable line from A to B. But here's the real problem with that event equals outcome mindset. It turns you into a victim. It makes you a passenger in your own life, just getting tossed around by whatever happens next. And as long as you're blaming the event for your outcome, you've given away all your power to change it. So, how do we get out of that passenger seat and back into the driver's seat? Well, we need a whole new way of looking at things. Let's call it the power formula. This is all about taking back control. And here it is. So simple, but so profound. Event plus response equals outcome. E plus R equals O. See? The event doesn't directly create the outcome. There's this crucial step in the middle. Your response. That's the secret ingredient. What happens plus how you respond to what happens, that's what creates your reality. And think about it. It makes perfect sense. You can't control the economy. You can't control whether you get that rejection letter. Those things are external. They're just part of the game. But, and this is the absolute game changer, you always, and I mean always, have total control over your response. You get to decide what that event means. You get to decide how you're going to feel about it. And you get to decide what you're going to do next. All the power is right there in that choice. You know, this whole idea is actually backed up by a cool universal principle called the law of polarity. It basically says that everything in the universe has an opposite. So for every crisis, there has to be an opportunity. For every dark cloud, there's a silver lining just waiting for you to find it. I mean, just look at the incredible story of Christopher Reeve. After that devastating accident left him paralyzed, he could have let it define his life as a tragedy, but he didn't. He chose a different response. He changed the meaning of his condition and became this global icon of hope, raising millions for research. Just incredible. Or take entrepreneur Adam Koo. He gets denied a partnership at a company he'd spent 13 years building. That could have crushed him. But his response? He told himself, this is a sign. This is the push I needed to finally start my own thing. And boom, that's how his multi-million-dollar company was born. Okay, so that's the what and the why. But how do you actually do it? How do you consciously pick a better response? Well, there's a specific psychological tool for this, and it's called reframing. So reframing basically breaks down into two main types. First, you've got content reframing. That's when you ask, okay, what else could this possibly mean? So a recession doesn't just mean danger, it could mean lower business costs and less competition. Then there's context reframing. That's where you ask, in what situation would this be a good thing? So a kid who won't stop talking in class might drive a teacher crazy, but that same trait could make them a phenomenal public speaker one day. So, just to be clear, with content reframing, you're looking at the exact same event, but you're actively choosing to find a different, more empowering meaning for it right then and there. And with context reframing, you're taking what looks like a weakness in one area and you're finding a totally different place, a different context where that same exact quality becomes a huge strength. And I want to be clear, this isn't just some fluffy self-help trick. This is a hardcore strategy used by the best in the business world, from legendary marketing campaigns to killer sales pros. This might be the most brilliant example of reframing in business history. Avis was the #2 car rental company. That's a weakness, right? Wrong. They reframed it into their biggest promise. Yeah, we're #2. And because of that, we have to try harder for you. It was absolutely genius. This same exact thinking works wonders in sales. When a customer hits you with an objection, say, your price is too high, the amateur argues or gets defensive. The pro agrees and then reframes.
Here's the playbook, step by step. First, you acknowledge and agree. You're absolutely right, our product is very expensive. This just completely disarms them. Then you use the magic connector and, never ever use but, because that just creates a fight. You say, and it's because we use the absolute highest quality parts, which means it's going to last you twice as long and actually save you money down the road. See, you just turned their biggest objection into your strongest benefit. So at the end of the day, it all comes back to this. That formula, E plus R equals O, the law of polarity, the art of reframing, they're all just tools that point to one simple truth. You are the one who decides what your life means. And this is maybe the most important takeaway of all. The things you think are the worst things that have ever happened to you, the failures, the heartbreaks, the setbacks, they aren't just things to get over. If you choose the right response, they can become your single greatest assets. So no matter what happens, whatever life throws at you, you've got to remember this: the power to find the empowering meaning, to find the opportunity inside that crisis, and to create the outcome you want. That power is always, always yours. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What's something in your life right now that you see as a negative? And what if, just what if, hidden inside that very thing is the key to your next big breakthrough? The answer to that question could change everything.